There's one more. Got 3 minutes. Oh, there you go.
Josh, one more thing you have to watch is people trying to get into the meeting. You have to admit them.
Okay.
The new teachers introduce virtual.
So Kenny, can you move the teacher introductions to the beginning of the meeting, please?
Yep. So just before, you want to go underneath, well, we're at the, that's the first thing underneath, new items. You okay with doing it right there?
That'd be perfect.
Okay.
Ms. Schwartzoff, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Thanks for your help.
So you said your old Brent, probably, right?
I know Brent. No Mike. So we got
Right,
5.
so that's 6, 7, okay.
So we're good.
All right, so we're gonna call the meeting to board, or call the meeting to order. Since Mike is not here, I'll be the acting president tonight. So can we have roll call by the clerk, please? Andy?
Benish, here. Biba,
Here.
Drushmeyer, Drury, Esser,
Here.
Mitchick,
Here.
Schmidt.
Yeah. Here.
Okay, now will everyone join me in the pledge of allegiance, please? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Posting the meeting given to the public pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.84.
So moved.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
I'll second. Schmidt.
We have a motion by Mitchick, a second by Schmidt. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so we're down to number 5, approval of the meeting notice. So September 9th, regular meeting, open session.
This is Todd. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Greg, I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mitchick and a second by Viva. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, motion passes. We're down to the September current expenses and vouchers payable.
See, I think it's on it's on the last page is a US cellular bill for hotspots. You know, that we think will be reimbursed through the CARES money if we use it that way. That's definitely for virtual education. So that's something we usually don't have. But it's, you know, it's $700 for this month. Or whatever the billing part was.
I make a motion to approve the vouchers.
We have a motion by Schmidt. Does anyone want to second that motion?
I'll second. This is Andy.
Okay, so we have a motion, second motion by Benish. All in favor of approval of the September vouchers, please say aye.
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 Motion passes. Next, we have public appearances before the board, not for action. Not seeing any, we'll move on to number 8, announcements and reports. New items, number 1 is new staff. So what you got for us, Mr. Terrell?
I hope everyone can hear me okay. I have 2 staff members with us tonight. We have 3 total new staff members, and our one, Lisa Johnson, couldn't make it tonight, so we'll try to get her next month. But I will start with Miss Monica Schwartzoff. She is an ELA teacher in our middle school, new this year. So Monica, welcome. Normally I go around and introduce all the board members, but the 2 board members sitting in the meeting there, Kenny Esser and Katrina Shimmick. And then you can see the names of the board members around, I hope, right? So why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Yeah, I'm Monica Schwartzoff. Like Josh said, I'm the new ELA middle school teacher. A little bit about myself is that I grew up in like Northeast Iowa, so about 45 minutes from Prairie du Chien on the Iowa side. And then I went to Loras College in Dubuque and I graduated in 2019. And then after that, I taught 1 year at MFL Marmac, which is in Iowa. It's right next to Prairie du Chien. And then now I'm here at Highland and I'm glad to be here. A little bit more. I have 2 younger brothers, both in college now.
All right. Well, thank you. Any questions for Monica?
No, just glad to have you here.
I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Right.
Welcome.
Thanks, Monica. One little tidbit about Monica, she is a Vikings fan. So if I would have known that in the interview process, it might be a different story today. But,
That's why I didn't tell you, Josh. That's why I didn't tell you. I didn't bring it up. Wearing my Viking jersey when we had the interview.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Schwartzoff. Our other new staff member is Laura Sprinkle. As you guys know, finding paraprofessionals is extremely hard anymore, so we got extremely lucky that Laura was coming back close to hometown, back our way. So Laura, Tell us about yourself, please.
Hi. Well, I am starting my 30th year in education, mainly early childhood. I have 3 adult children. I moved back here. Obviously, my family is all from this area, and moved back to help my parents out, and was very fortunate to be offered this opportunity to be with the Highland School District. So I'm really excited, really enjoying it. I love the team atmosphere. It's just a great experience.
All right, thank you, Laura. Any questions for Laura? So, Laura, are you like your sister? Are you a Bears fan or no?
Well, I'm always a Bears fan when the Bears play the Packers, because I'm here with my parents now, so I got to go with them. So
You Bears, you might get kicked out of the house.
exactly.
All right. Well, thank you, ladies, so much for joining us tonight. You guys are more than welcome to leave the meeting if you want. You're more than welcome to stick around if you want, but I know you guys have things to do. So thank you very much for taking time to meet with us tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I'm glad to be a part of your team.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
All right, so we're down to number 2, principals reports.
Yeah, there's just a few things I'd like to share with everyone. Can everybody hear me okay? I hope so. Greg, can you got me, or you good? Good. Obviously, as everyone knows, it's just been a crazy year thus far. And I've just been so proud of the staff and the kids that were able to still be in school. And I don't know, if we can go longer, great. If we can't, we can. It's getting worse, as everyone knows, out there in the area. So if we do have to shut down, I'm glad we practice those virtual Fridays with all the kids. So if we do, we're ready to go. We can get ready within a day. Mr. Tucker is the technology, and I'm very confident that we can make it a pretty seamless transition, or a pivot to if we got to go homeschool. Or virtual school, I should say, not homeschool, virtual school for a couple weeks and then come back in. But so far, we've had 1 positive case with a staff member and 1 positive case with a middle school student. So 2 people that work in the district so far. Overall, I think we're pretty lucky that way. But hopefully, things get a little better out and about. It doesn't sound like it's getting better. It's getting a little worse around, but we'll do what we can. Saying that, the end of the first 9 weeks is already the end of next week. I can't, the end of October, 22nd, I believe, is the end of the first quarter. There's some kids that are not where we'd like them to be academically, so we've been trying to push to get those kids some grades and some help to get their grades up to passing. Unfortunately, the most by far are our virtual kids. Some of the virtual kids that just having a heck of a time getting stuff done, and it's just a lot harder. I'll be the first to say it's just hard. But we're doing the best we can, and we'll keep pushing. Athletically, the football team's off to a great start. They got a heck of a test this Friday against Potosi-Cassville. Both teams are undefeated. It's going to be a heck of a game. Hopefully we can end up on top at the end of that bad boy. But volleyball team's having a good year. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they're 8-4. The seed meeting is tonight. Actually, I think it's actually right now. So we'll find out tonight what seed we get. I think Coach Wineski was going into the meeting tonight expecting the 2 or even 1 seed. So that is good news for us. If that is the case, the tournament starts next week. If they are the 1 seed, they would have a bye first round, so they wouldn't play till next Thursday. So it gives them a little time to prepare. We've had 3 volleyball players now that have been quarantined. So one of those should be back early next week. Hopefully, depending on results, we'll get another one back here soon. And the last one was a JV player, and obviously the JV season ended here last night. So JV season is done. So that was nice. She was only missed 1 game. So other things around, as far as school goes, you know, one thing obviously we've talked about since the beginning, and one of the reasons that we wanted to get kids in school was mental health. And Wisconsin right now is no different than any other state. It's probably worse than most states as far as the mental health of students today. And that's one thing that we're very cognizant of, and one thing that is also weighing on our staff. They're just working their tails off. There's a lot of them, I mean, they're getting overwhelmed because of all the different things that we're asking our staff to do. So we've been trying to add and talk about little tidbits we can do here and there to kind of just give them a that a boy type of thing. Tell them keep up the good work. We know, we understand, you know, all the things that you guys are doing extra this year. Shifting our aides have just, we've been bouncing aides all over the place to cover stuff. And so far we've been able to do it. And, you know, I had a staff meeting last week, and by far the staff is well on board with, I know we're doing a lot of extra stuff, but it is so much better than having everyone have to go virtual, you know. So even though we might not get around that, at least, you know, I can say we've got 8 weeks in now of in-person school. We're going to get that first quarter in, and if we got to take 2 weeks off and come back, or if we have to shut down longer than that, at least we can say we've got that much in. So, you know, we've got homecoming in, we got parents' night in, we played some football, we played some volleyball. I don't regret doing any of those things. I don't regret having the parade. I appreciate so much you guys as the board supporting us in those things. And, you know, I look back and I wouldn't change any of that this year. So at least we can say we got each of those things in. And like I said, the kids, I'm proud of them for everything that they're doing and how hard they've worked through this. So I think I'm going to add to some stuff I think Bryce is going to talk about later, so I'll leave that to him. But unless there's questions for me, Kenny, I think that's it.
Okay, thank you, Josh. All right, so we'll move on to Bryce's report.
First thing I just want to just put out there is that the annual meeting is next week, next Wednesday, but that is not a virtual meeting. That is not allowed in the law, and we got some direction from School Board Association on that, so we won't be, you know, won't be able to zoom into that. You'll have to come in person to the annual meeting. And so will the residents, so we will need to make sure we get that out there. Maybe we need to put something out, you know, through social media just to remind people. I don't know if it's well attended. Also, I see tonight was the Region 9 meeting. You guys get those invites, the Region 9, we used to go to Fenimore, it would be visible. It was a Zoom meeting starting at 7 or something, and maybe something at 6:30, but conflicted with this meeting, so obviously we're not going to that this year. Today we found out that the school lunch, the Seamless Summer Option program for free school lunches has been extended through the end of June. So far it was to the end of December or until the money held out. Now it's to the end of June. So that's, I mean, that's good news for the district and the students and the parents. That will be extended. And I don't know if they, last year, my understanding was Highland didn't qualify for it to go past June. Some schools with higher poverty rates could go to the end of the summer. So we would have this until the end of June. And I've got, you know, most of my stuff is still, it's later on, but I want to just go through something with the board that came up about 4 weeks ago. I had some calls from a couple of parents, and this was to do with senior posters and senior sports posters and the history of that. And I'm just going to ask Josh to jump in when he needs to, but basically the tradition that, you know, evolved where the senior athletes would get their posters, a picture and a poster put up, like the volleyball players would have it in the gym, the football players would have it out on the field on those fences, and then softball and baseball during those seasons would have it out. And then the volleyball would come down and the basketball ones would go up. And it was basically something that was done by the parents that kind of got that going. And so this year, it was decided they wanted to expand it and allow more kids to become involved in it. So there was some rodeo, some FFA, and I don't know, I mean, at least 2 seniors in those programs. And when the posters came in, there were two issues that came up. One was in the volleyball. A couple of seniors got pictures from a different photographer, and their posters weren't exactly the same size. Their posters were a little bit bigger. And when they were put up on the board, or put up on the wall, they were bigger, slightly bigger, and they were different kinds. So, some people took offense to that. Like it looked like they were, to some, it looked like they were singled out or they were highlighted, and they were also in the middle. So this got to be kind of a sensitive subject. So that was one issue. Another issue, and I was actually involved with some of the decisions behind this, is where do you put the posters? How long do you keep them up? And if it's like athletics, they're put up during the season. So FFA and rodeo, both those posters are up in the gym. And then we took them down. We moved one to the FFA area. And since the rodeo was done in the fall, we were going to put the rodeo one back up in the gym in the spring when this high school rodeo starts again. Well, since they were up and they got taken down, those students felt like that was just a slap in the face. So it was unintentional, but there's some issues and some real strong feelings, and that were unintentional. But now we have something to wrestle with that I think we want to make some decisions, in the spring before summer comes, and either we let the parents still handle it, but we make a set of rules that if we're going to post these posters, we're going to, do it a certain way, or the school, will just oversee that thing, and we'll say, here's the photographer, let's get the posters made at the same place, and then we'll decide, or we'll ask the class or get some input, but we simply have to wrestle with. But and it may sound kind of like a trivial thing to some, but there's really some feelings hurt and people reading into what does this mean if one poster is bigger, or what does this mean if the poster came up and then it got put down in the FFA hallway. And what we're trying to do is trying to include more people with activities, but we're also trying to treat it like a sport. The volleyball team, their pictures aren't up, their posters aren't up all year. They come down when their season is over. Basketball doesn't go up until their season, then it comes down. And there's a lot of things. I don't know if we can ever get everybody 100% to agree. There are things thrown out like every senior could have a poster put up in the gymnasium, and they just stay in the gymnasium. Well, I'm assuming the outdoor athletes want their stuff where they perform, and people want their poster where people can view it. So it got to be a kind of a mess. And one remedy was they made the volleyball posters the same size. They redid those, ordered new posters. Some parents took their posters down, and so we just have to have our ducks in a row for next year. It's unfortunate because it was good intentions, and things were agreed on by the parents, and then there's some things that happened, and it turned into a bigger problem. But I just wanted to throw that out, and the people, we're going to address it at the board meeting, and then they kind of left it to the parents to figure out. I just said that I would bring it up just to inform the board again, and my solution would be to get this year's junior class involved with some thoughts, and then decide if we want just to take it over as a school and make requirements and not allow things to to favor one student over another if we can do it that way. Possible.
I agree with what you're saying, Bryce, about a lot of I've heard quite a few things on it this year, and I think in order to make it the opportunity be available for each and every student when they're a senior, I don't know, I think there's got to be guidelines out there put out by the school saying, if you're going to have the poster be put up, obviously if they want it out there for football, they have it out there for football, but I think what they have to do, in my opinion, is, and I've seen this done at other schools and it seems to work well from what I've seen there, is that they want the picture taken for whatever activity they're in, sports activity or FFA, you know, you name it, whatever they want. That's taken one time, and that's the picture that is taken, or the poster that's put up at the football field, baseball field, softball field. If it gets used all year round on all three of, you know, basketball court, that's what's used. It's not a separate picture that's taken just for volleyball or football or whatever it's going to be, wrestling, whatever it's going to be. One picture, this size, this is what's done. If they want to have it, the school puts it together through maybe the booster club, and they say, okay, here's the guidelines, this is the photographer, if you want to have it, you pay this person, and then the poster will be put up. I think that eliminates a lot of the who does what and when and how it's done. That way it's guidelined through and saying, that way every student, every senior student can have the opportunity to have something put up if they'd like to.
Then some could opt out if they, but everybody has an opportunity.
Yeah, everybody has the opportunity to do it. If they don't want to do it, that's their decision.
So Ken, sorry.
Go ahead.
I think the question was like, so like the rodeo and the FFA, would all of the, are you saying all of them would be up all year?
If they want to have it up all year, but it's one poster, one picture. It's not individual.
And they did do that this year. It's one poster, like some kids have their wrestling shoes and their football and their basketball jersey. So they did, I mean, they did take that step this year to just do one.
Okay, that's good. And yeah, if, you know, if somebody wants to have their, you know, there's no reason why, you know, honestly, the senior student that's in the FFA, most people are gonna see that senior student in the gymnasium versus the hallway here at school.
Yeah.
So for him to be recognized, or he or she to be recognized as part of that organization, really it needs to be out in the commons or in the gymnasium when people are coming in to watch other events within the gym.
And the
I would
posters
support
all
that
have-
as well.
Yeah, and the posters all have to be the same size, lettering the same size. I mean, you can't be changing the dynamics of the photo ops. I mean, you can have a junior meeting or whatever and say, this is what the poster options are. This is the lettering we're thinking about, or this is what the design. And then your picture will go here and they can maybe choose, but then that's it, one choice.
So if a kid is a
All has-
football player, let's say, and so it's out there, and then in the field, then let's say he's not in an activity like that in the winter, so it's either in the commons or in the gym. And then the same way with, I'd
say the same thing, you know, if there's, for example, if you have a girl that only plays softball, then yes, you'd want to have that poster out there at the softball field, but I think to be recognized the entire year, I don't see a reason why it can't be hung in the gym from fall till softball season, and softball season is taken down and it's put outside then.
I would agree. We have so little amount of students. It's not like it would
Yeah, I mean, it's.
cause a big.
Yeah, it's not,
Yeah.
to me, it's become an issue the last couple of years, and I think in order to get it resolved, it's gotta be some structure has to be put to it and saying this is what's gonna be done. And here's the photographer, and you wanna have it done, this is the amount, this is what will be done. If you don't wanna have it done, then it's their choice.
And the other part of that we didn't talk about yet, but, so the kids are in some activities that maybe they're competing or they're in activities that aren't sponsored by the school. There's high school rodeo, that's not really sponsored by us. Some people are in hockey, some people could be in karate, maybe they play soccer in another league or something. So some of the people I talked to, the parents I talked to, didn't think that was, you know, a defining issue, that if they're involved, you know, whatever the senior is involved with, if they wanted to have, you know, be recognized. You know, some might be in one of our activities and then they're in something else, in a club or something, but you're basically, I mean, the people I talked to that said it could be all seniors.
Yes.
I mean,
But
why
some
not?
may choose not to, and then that's their choice.
Right, it's their choice.
Why
But
not?
you're extending the offer to everyone.
Right, and broadcast it in the commons area when they're not in an active group.
The commons of the gym, one of the.
Right, I mean, something.
Josh, you got anything to weigh in on this? Are you-
No, I don't have anything to weigh in right now. So we can do that. We'll just hang them up. I'd rather not do the gym then, because I'd rather do the commons. That way, you know, all kids can be on there for whatever activity it is, and we'll hang them up in the commons. That way we don't have to have an event for those kids to be seen up there, you know, where it's the only way to be seen if it's an event. So we'll just put them in the commons. I don't know if, you know, if the taking them down for that activity and then putting them back up, I guess we could do that. But honestly, I just really like that one picture that they do. You know, if you look at the seniors this year, they did that one picture in the bottom of Main Street, and they invited any kid that wanted to be in it in the senior class, and they could put on there, you know, a couple girls have saddles with them, and they have, you know, whatever, baseball.
One group.
And that's a really cool picture to me.
Yeah.
Get rid of the rest of the stuff and just do that, but I don't think that'd probably fly either. But otherwise, yeah, if we got to hang all individual ones up and do it one time, this is what it's going to be. We'll say this is the photographer. If you want it, here it is. If you don't, you have your choice, and we'll put them up in the comments. It's just too bad that it creates an issue. So hopefully we can get that cleaned up.
And then, you know, there might be other things that come before next spring, before we get this year's juniors into seniors next year. You know, there might be another idea that comes into play too that, you know, might make it better as well. So obviously, you know, it's not a closed book, but we've not, you know, it's open to, you know, suggestions and to make anything better, so.
I would support the group idea, but then there's not that individuality.
This year they did both.
Yeah, that's true, it is both. Has there been years where we just did the group photo and no specialty photo? Is what I would want.
Well, it actually all started several years ago with the football team. I think it was when Coach Aide took over as the head coach, that I remember anyway. And as you know, his sister Teresa works for a graphic company and gave him a heck of a deal on posters for the football seniors. You know, so they put the posters up on PVC pipes out there. You remember that on the football field? And it was really cool, you know. And then we went to other schools, and we see other schools hanging these banners up. So then it kind of eluded into posters for each sport. So that's when we were talking about kids that had a poster for, if they're in 3 sports, parents had to pay for 3 different posters. They thought, you know, this is getting a little crazy, you know. So then we started doing one picture, and if you wanted to put a jersey on and hold on to a basketball or wrestling shoes, or like they do now, great. Then we hung up those, and then, you know, then we had the team pictures, and we had some issues with that too, with as far as who's in the picture and all that stuff. So, you know, it just unfortunately creates hard feelings for some people sometimes. So try to get around that. That's why, you know, I love the picture that the seniors did this year. They did both, like we said, and that the one where they did the bottom of Main Street, that is really cool. They invited every senior. Now, some chose not to be in it, no problem, you know, and they invited every senior. And it's a really, really cool picture. You know, to me, you don't need the banners if you do that, but that's just my opinion. If they still want to do the banners, we'll do that, and we'll hang them up, and we'll go from there.
Anybody else got anything they want to add to that? Okay, not hearing anything, we'll move on to the Finance Committee update.
Finance Committee, we met, it's been almost a month already? No, a couple weeks anyway. Three weeks ago already. Went over year-end numbers, getting ready for next month's, or not next week's annual meeting. They're still waiting on some of the final numbers, which will come in last minute to make changes on there, but everything was looking good there. We also discussed some substitute support staff pay, which we're gonna discuss later on in personnel. And I think Bryce has a budget history that he shared with us that looks like it's also on here for tonight.
Yeah, the budget history, you know, it has summaries of things in comparing to last year. And it shows last year, we added 43,000 to the fund balance. And remember, we also put 50,000 into Fund 46. So it's kind of like we had 50,000 plus 42, so 92 that was unspent at the end of the year. And so the building up to Fund 46 was good. This year, we're showing a balanced budget. You know, we're showing it that way with things in every category. One thing, there's 2 students that were counted that actually never came to school, and they finally ended up at another school district. So that will have to be reduced from our count. That will change our revenue limit. It'll lower it a little bit, and that possibly will result in lower tax, because we won't be able to tax quite as high, but the tax amount that we're levying is almost the same. It was up only slightly, and depending on the value of the property values go up, the mill rate is likely to go down for the upcoming year. So there's just summaries in here, and we'll go and review everything in more detail in a week.
Yep. All right, so that takes us down to the Building and Grounds Committee update. So last Wednesday we met. About that, we had a junior project presentation by a junior that wants to, since we resealed the south end parking lot, the little kiddos out there no longer have lines for basketball, Foursquare, and a few other games that are painted out there, and she's gonna, so her presentation was to get that, work with somebody about getting that restriped out there for those activities, and maybe adding a few more for the elementary students to participate in or for the recess. So Building and Grounds Committee didn't have any issue with that. Glad it was being taken over to get redone since it was sealed over. So that was a good idea. The next item was the HVAC ionization, that proposal that we met with Bob Silva from last month. We had a short discussion about that at the Building and Grounds Committee, and based on some of the school districts that already had the system put into place, were already shut down due to COVID. So I know that was brought up as a possible deterrent and hoping to curb that within a building, but based on the dollar value and what we're getting in CARES money, we don't feel it's best to pursue that at this time. So that's going to be coming later in the meeting, but the Building and Grounds Committee is suggesting not to pursue it. Other than that, that was the Building and Grounds Committee update. So we'll move down to, take it down to number 9, which is the policy development review. So we have the second reading of policy 5200, the 10th revision.
If you remember, that's just, you know, kind of squaring up and being clear about virtual instruction was the main thing that counts for hours of instruction. Was the main part of that.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
I'll second it, Shimmick.
Yes, we have a motion by Benish and a second by Shimmick. All in favor for the approval, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. So we're down to, under new business, acceptance of donations. So what do we have?
I don't know. Not sure.
Josh, are you?
Josh, do you know what we have for donations?
Yeah, we have the Lions Club donated just a ton of stuff again for school supplies for our kids. So we wanted to send them a thank you or recognize them at the board level. And I apologize, there's one more that is skipping my brain right now that I wanted to recognize at the board level, but I'll think of it, we might have to come back to it. But I know the Lions Club is one that donated again, like I said, just a ton of stuff to the district for kid needing some supplies again this year.
Okay,
I apologize, we'll have to get these written in and get them linked in or something, so.
Yeah, I thought that was,
we'll
I
have
think it was Nelson Hardwood or something.
Nelson Hardwood, Josh?
that's what it was, yes. Nelson Hardwoods, yeah. Fuzz, or Mr. McCauley, called Nelson Hardwoods and asked if they had any wood that a lot of times they have just some scraps, that they have left over that they don't use, so they give them to us. Universal Silencer is another one that's done that. So he pulled up in his truck and he had the entire back of his truck full of hardwoods and nice. We had white oak, red oak, walnut, hard maple. It was awesome. So I want to thank Nelson Hardwood for their contribution as well. And I think the last one, I think we already thanked it, but if we did, we want to thank the Gridiron Club for, they agreed to help us out with the trailer that you guys approved last month. So we want to thank them for their donation on the 50%. We haven't got that yet, but obviously that was approved. So we want to thank the Gridiron Club for a 50% of a trailer that we're using for school.
This is Todd. I'll make a motion to approve the acceptance of all the donations with gratitude.
Shimmick, I'll second.
all right, we have a motion by Mitchick and a second by Shimmick. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thank you to those folks for their donations. Number B, 2021 fundraisers. This is always fun.
They're on the agenda there. Can you guys get those up there and see those?
Yeah.
So one that I do not see on here is, and I know they do this every year, what about the baseball one?
He did not, I guess I should have called and asked him, but he did not. We sent the email out to all staff. He did not get that into us, so I'll have to ask him and then put it on next month's agenda if he still wants to do that. But so far, he has not said anything.
Okay.
You need an approval.
Yep.
I make a motion to approve the fundraisers for 2021. Jimmy?
We have a motion to accept. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, motion by Shimmick, second by Benish. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Motion passes. All right, next item, we're down to college up student applications.
We have two students taking college courses that they're asking for approval, and it's Intro to Sociology and Written Communications. One class for each student.
Is this for this semester or is this for next semester?
Next semester.
Next semester, yeah. We normally have probably quite a few more that would be taking it, but we had just a ton of kids take classes this summer through our summer program, which was awesome. So most of the kids that wanted to do it already have these two done. So it was pretty cool. So they got a lot of college credit that got paid for. So it was nice.
And Josh, do you know if there'll be different classes offered next summer for those students if they want to do it again?
Well, I think, that was a first. We actually, Nancy was kind of the instigator or the original person to kind of put this together and put that idea in Southwest Tech's head, to be honest with you. So when I had a couple meetings with my principals, I just brought up that we were doing this and that other schools should look at this. So they did, and it ended up being a pretty awesome thing for Southwest Tech as well. They were able to get a lot more classes and a lot more income for them as well. So I can't believe they wouldn't do it this year. And if COVID's still an issue where a lot of people are not able to get out and do the work or get jobs like, you know, in the past, I can see this being another thing that Southwest Tech is going to put out there, since a lot of kids will probably might have time to take them again. So.
Okay. All right, so we'll need a motion to approve the college up.
Should I make an approval to approve the college dub?
You got a second?
This is Mitchell, all second.
All right, so we have a motion by Schmick, second by Mitchell. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, motion passes. We're down to 66.0301 Intergovernmental Agreement with IRA Grant for ES Services.
So we had a student with special needs that goes to Iowa Grant for their program, and the total cost for the contract is $33,000, and that is for sharing our part of their program with their costs, and also it shares the therapies and different things the student receives. And we also provide an aid with that, but for $33,000. But we were also able, because this student was in a birth to 3 program last year, so that's treated as a separate entity, then it's treated like it's transferred into our school program from birth to 3. So we were able to recoup $24,000 in what's called transfer of service, and that increases our revenue limit $24,000, and it stays in there. So it allows us to increase our levy by that. So even though it's an increase, we need to provide services for this student, but also since it's new coming in from another entity, 33, but we're bringing in 24, so it's not near as costly, and we needed to, we would do this anyway, but we were able to, with the transfer of service, kind of wipe out most of the cost.
And are we providing transportation for those students?
Yes,
Okay.
we take our van over.
All right,
Shemek, I'll make an motion to approve.
we'll need a second.
Can you guys all hear us?
All right, so we'll make a motion. We have a motion by Schmick. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Schmick, second by Benish, in favor of the agreement with Iowa Grant for ES Services. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, motion passes. Down to old business, HVAC ionization. So where do you want to go with that, Bryce?
I think we follow the recommendation of the Building and Grounds Committee to not purchase, not get involved with that, because I'm not guaranteed that's gonna stop the COVID. Or possibly that the money could be used other places for subs and for other costs are gonna occur, maybe a little bit to offset the hotspots and all those costs included with that. I definitely think it does improve air quality. I'm not so sure. I've read articles, not a lot out there. Again, like the stuff that's out there, a lot of times it's from a company or some place that is marketing these or selling them or installing them. I've read some things that say there's not a lot of research on how it actively works with COVID virus, and I can believe that because we're still trying to figure that stuff out. So I think it's good for the air quality, but I think, and Mike 8 also as, they're just based on other schools that put it in, they're still having issues, and we're the one that, we're still open, so I think we let it go.
So do we need action on that or not, Grace?
I think what you do on that, Kenny, is if someone wants to move on that, to vote on it, you allow it. And if someone does, then you have to vote, but if no one makes the motion, then it dies. I think it's the official parliamentary procedure if you want that.
Well, do you think it'd be best to do a roll call vote on the board members that are here, A or nay, and take it that way?
I don't know what do you think?
Well, I think that puts an end to it. I mean, you don't want to do it at this time or something. You can always come back around.
You can always come, it's not like we can't revisit it, but just
Right.
at this time, do we?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll make a motion to take a roll call vote to, on the HVAC ionization, whether to proceed or wait on it at this time. So Andy, can you do a roll call, please?
Yes, Benish, I vote to wait on it. Eba. Greg, we can't hear you. Can't hear him.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yep.
All right. Yeah, just, we're gonna wait. My vote's to wait. Whether that's, I don't know how you're doing it.
Okay.
Esser,
I vote no to wait.
Mitchik,
I vote to wait as well.
Schimick,
I vote to wait.
All right, so that gives us 5 votes to wait on the subject, so we'll possibly reconvene at a different date and different time, so. All right, so we're down to number 12, personal items, substitute support staff pay.
This is hourly pay. This was brought up by, we have a couple substitute custodians, and, asking, is there any way we could get more pay? And we reached out in some area districts. We tried to find some in the area and some in the same size in our CISA. Obviously, some larger schools pay a little bit more, and it's kind of all over the place. And the first column, if you can get on that little chart, it's what they pay their substitute custodians, and the second one is what they pay their custodial hourly. So like for the first one, in Argyle, they pay their subs more than the starting wage for custodial, but there's a little background that Linda found out about that. They couldn't get anybody, they were stuck, and they went between the beginning pay, I think, for the custodians and the top pay. They put somebody in the middle there. So that's why it came out that way. But the average is about $11.86 per hour. Our wage is $12.50. Our custodians are at $15.45. Is that correct, Linda? That's what it says.
So I don't have access, sorry to interrupt, to view it. So if you could just share the numbers with me. I asked for access, but I don't know who approves that.
Oh. How do you get her access to?
I have.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you, Barb. Thank you.
So as a district, you don't want to be in the, if it's nice if we can stay out of the lower half, and we're above the average. And so I don't think it would make sense to do a big increase, although some of these schools had to because they just could not get anybody. And then everybody has, Linda did a lot of research on this and relayed the information to me, but somebody has retired custodians. We've done that, they have them come in and work, and they kept some of those at the regular pay. So they did things like that. But what I'm asking for is not a large raise. It would be a quarter raise to get us up to $12.75, so that they get a little something. They're not at the top, but then they're about the top 3 or 4 of this group, and just to try to give them something. And then these things you can adjust as needed. Linda, I think you said that the regular custodians for the year got a 35-cent raise from last year.
Yes, that's correct. 35 cents an hour for the current custodians, all support staff.
So I don't know if, yeah, support staff. So this isn't just, we were comparing custodians to see what the custodians were. This would be for the substitute cooks and the substitute paraprofessionals, all of that.
Right. The majority of the schools said that they pay their cooks the same custodial hourly pay that they do the custodians. So I think if we raised our substitute custodial pay, we would probably do the same for the kitchen. That's what we've done in the past.
And paraprofessionals?
We usually don't have to get paraprofessionals. We usually use teachers.
Okay.
But if that were the case, yes, we probably would do that.
So it'd be all support staff substitute wages to increase that a quarter per hour.
Okay.
That amount was vetted at the finance, I mean, I don't know.
No, it didn't come up to the finance committee.
I mean, I don't know, I just feel like we could do both. In those positions, we're asking, well, probably have to have a deeper discussion in general with everybody. Everybody's doing a lot more. I just feel like, especially those people that keeping our school clean and preparing the food. I don't know. I just like to see more than a quarter, but that's just me. But I mean, if we can.
I can say I agree with Greg. I'd actually like to see it go to maybe like 13.
But if we got to crunch numbers, Bryce, to make sure that, I mean, I know it's all, I know it adds up, but I just feel like at this point, what's going on, and, these people are coming in, especially the substitute, janitors.
I don't think that going to 50 cents, I don't think that's going to adversely affect the budget on these hours. I mean, one thing that we're doing is we're still not filling the vacancy of the custodian, Jim Esser's position, and we talked about doing it, and we're going to post it without insurance and try to save money that way. But then we talked in the office a little bit more that we just don't know. We don't want to hire somebody and then get shut down, and then now we're paying unemployment or whatever's going on. So we're still, that money is in the budget, I think, for that position. So we've saved money so far on that. If it is, sometimes some of that as a goodwill gesture, as a little morale booster, helps sometimes. And I don't think it's going to adversely affect the budget to go another quarter. Do you have an opinion, Linda, on that? We haven't ran a scenario of how many hours, but I mean, we are saving money from when we had the custodian from Esser's position a year ago.
Right. Currently, by using the substitute custodians that we're using right now, we are getting those extra 25 hours a week that the retired custodian was putting in. So we are still, getting the same amount of hours for cleaning in the building. It's just that we are saving at this point on the health insurance, but we also did not budget for health insurance. So we might do a little bit of tweaking, but I think we can still do it.
But we're not paying them $15 an hour, we're paying $12.50. I mean, so we're saving about $2.50 or $3 an hour right now since school started on that position.
Correct.
So we can go 50 cents increase.
Anybody have an objection to the recommendation of a 50-cent increase in the support staff pay?
I mean.
Do you want to clear, you mean substitute support staff pay?
Yes, substitute, sorry, yes, substitute.
Ken, I'd make that, well, I'd make that motion to, for the substitute, staff pay 50 cents an hour for now. Yeah, I think that's.
Shimmick, I'll second the motion.
Okay, so we have a motion by Biba and a second by Shimmick in support of the substitute pay for support staff. All in motion, please say aye.
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 All right, motion passes. We have items for signature and we have set the next date for the next board meeting, which our next board meeting is the end of the month here, but we'll be looking at November.
Is it November?
November
11th?
11th,
At
yes.
6 p.m.
So November 11th will be the next board meeting at 6 p.m. Is there any committee meetings that need to be, that need to happen?
I don't think so.
Annual meeting is next Wednesday at what time then?
No, I thought that was the 28th.
Or 28?
Yep, 28.
6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
So will it still be in that room if we're all going to be there?
Well, we can decide, want to put it in the commons to have more spacing? Depends how many people come. If there's only a few people, we can space in here, but if you want to spread out, we can do it in the commons, but I need something to show numbers on probably.
We can,
We'll roll that thing out there, I guess.
yeah, we can have it in the commons. I have no issue with that.
Well, the annual meeting itself is not going to be, online, but the special meeting following that, what will we do with that? Will that still be not?
Didn't think of that, but it's just the restrictions are for the annual meeting. Generally, those same people stay that are there, but we could zoom it out if we wanted to, so people could, if they wanted to dial into that to see what happened and see, because that's when the board votes to set the, we talk about it, but then the board has to actually set the levy at the special board meeting after the annual meeting. So that could be zoomed out, or people could zoom in. It's a good point.
I'll let you know my intentions, I guess, as we get closer.
Okay.
That's for me personally. I can't speak for everybody else, but I'll tell you mine personally.
Okay. So we have nothing for other committee meetings, so I'll look for a motion to adjourn if anyone else has anything else they want to discuss.
I make a motion to adjourn. Shimmick.
I'll second. Minchuk.
All right, all in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, meeting adjourned.
Have a good night.
Hey, everyone.
Right.
Can I ask a question? Well, so if, I'm kind of confused. So if we're already here for the annual, what do they mean, what do you guys mean by this then going Zoom?
Well, because technically there's another meeting, then we'll do a
Right.
regular board meeting. So if anybody just wants to listen in, I don't know if people are gonna go home and Zoom in, but they could. Usually, the next meeting, you open the meeting,
We're all here for the same, I mean,
It
usually it
takes-
just rolls right into the other, didn't it last year?
it takes about 2 or 3 minutes and you're in and out, you approve just what you talked about.
Yeah. I
But
think what Greg is talking about is whether he's gonna attend altogether, is what I think he's talking about.
Okay. And out of curiosity, I mean, is it most people aren't attending because they're afraid? I mean, is that ideally
you mean the annual meeting?
yeah. No, well, in general, I mean, I have a personal thing, like, my thing is if I'm gonna send my children to school here every day, I mean, I should be here as well as a school.
Are we still live though?
Yep, you're still like,